Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream. Day 3 of the January transfer window, match preview for Crystal Palace. We've got loads to go through. Romeo Lavia is back in training, should be returning. Maresca's press conference is taking place right now. There's no plans to loan out Marc Guiu. We're going to get into all the recent form issues, what can be done, looking ahead to the game against Crystal Palace. Loads and loads to dive into, as always, with Chelsea. Aaron Anselmino has been recalled as well. We're going to dive into maybe what that potentially does or doesn't mean. Dan, great to have you again, mate. Hope you're good at a good New Year's, all that stuff. I just wanted to very quickly run through some quotes that have just come through now from Enzo Maresca, and maybe it kind of feeds into perhaps why Aaron Anselmino has been recalled. Maresca says Fofana is out for a while. Badiashile is February, which is like, fuck me. You know, maybe that's why Anselmino's come back. I don't know for certain, but that must be part of the thinking. But Badiashile was supposed to be a little knock he picked up in training. It's like over a month he's going to be out, and Fofana out for a while. You know when you get them ones out for a while, it's like, yeah, don't think about this guy till probably at least March.
Yeah, or pre-season. It's worrying, isn't it? It's the usual suspects that are creeping onto the injury list again, and they're players that have, at times, been all right this season. I think Badiashile was having a better season than I expected him to have. Fofana looked like the player that we might have signed, and both of them now are injured, and it looks like for quite a while. I think Anselmino coming back is probably just to have a number at this moment in time. I mean, no one knows what he's going to be capable of. I can see people asking about the work permit. I'm pretty sure that's been sorted in order for him to be recalled.
He's got it. Yeah.
So it's an interesting situation that we find ourselves in with Fofana being out for a while. That makes me.
That's not even the exact quote. This is the exact quotes here. Fofana will be out, quote, a very long time.
It's even worse.
It's even worse. Fucking hell.
Oh my gosh. I'm gutted. I'm gutted for him, and I'm obviously gutted for Chelsea, because I feel like he just needs a break, and he just isn't getting it. But I'm not sure. When you get as many injuries as Fofana's getting, you have to start questioning whether or not their body is capable of keeping up with the likes of Premier League football, I think.
Do you know what this comes back to, mate? And I've mentioned this a few times before. This, for me, comes back to poor planning in the summer, because Chelsea, in Romeo Lavia and Wesley Fofana, have made decisions in the transfer market and gambled on the fitness of Lavia and Fofana being able to stay fit for the majority of a season, which they've not proven they can do thus far. And we've made decisions based on that. And now, when it's no surprise at all when these two players have been ruled out, and they've been picking up injuries this season and missed quite a number of games, we're then fucked, because at the moment we've got second and third choice centre backs both out for at least the next month, and right now we're playing our fourth choice centre back in defence alongside Levi Colwell. And you look at decisions that are made to gamble and make decisions basing of guys that have got an injury history of staying fit. You're now looking at it and you're thinking, this news and this confirmation of how long these guys are out, I almost think now our hand is forced. We have to go and buy a centre back this month.
Yeah, I think so. And do you know what? You're so right saying that it's poor planning, because I think we've spoken about it before, actually, that we almost feel like they built the squad, but they never took the injury potential of these players into their planning, and they were being dependent on a couple of players who we all know as fans aren't reliable. But it was almost like they'd forgotten about that, and they felt like, we've got the profiles, we've got the bodies, hopefully they're all going to stay fit. But I think it's obvious to see that these players are always going to be repeat offenders when it comes to finding themselves on the injury list. The worst thing about it all is now we've gone so public about the long-term injury for Wesley Fofana and how long Badiashile is going to be out. We now are going to go into the transfer market and we're going to look desperate for a centre-back if we do go in. So I'm concerned, because I think we saw the level of our defence over the last couple of games, and I think we all knew it was a bit of an issue. And the fact now that we're down to the bare bones with this squad in terms of the defence, and the quality is probably the worst area in the team. That's a bar keeper. That's a worry for me, because we need to get that sorted.
No, mate, we absolutely do. And by the way, I'm not saying that Tosin is crap, but what I'm saying is that the guy was brought in for a squad role. The guy was brought in to be a fourth choice centre back, and the absolutely no one can sit here and tell me that the plan was for this guy to be playing as much football as he has so far, particularly in the league. That was never the plan. I mean, I'm not privy to the plans, but you don't have to be a genius to work out that the plan to bringing in Tosin wasn't for him to be playing as much as he is. And now you look at a situation where it's a real shame for Fofana, because he was playing really well, and you can see in this period of games that he's missed so far that we miss him a lot. Levi Colwill is worse when Fofana isn't alongside him. I think there's no coincidence the last few games Levi's not been at his absolute best, has coincided with Fofana not being available. Playing alongside Tosin is totally different to playing alongside Fofana. And it leaves us in a situation where we're in a really difficult period now, because Colwell's obviously going to play, and you're playing fourth choice in Tosin. God forbid if anything happens to Tosin, right? You're then playing Axel Disasi at centre-back. And you've got no other options on the pitch. And you just comes back to decisions again. You've got someone like Trevor Chalobah. I don't want to keep going on about Chalobah, but, we've actively, with the choices we made over the summer, we actively made ourselves worse in defence, right? You could say, Fofana's come back, fine. But you lost Thiago Silva, and Trevor Chalobah went. So Tosin came in, who is worse than Silva, and Disasi is no better than Chalobah. So we have actively made ourselves worse in defence with the decisions that we've made. And it's just baffling for me why we didn't do more in the summer to address the centre-back situation. We should have been aware that as much as you back Fofana and believe in his potential and his ability, the guy's not shown the ability to stay fit. So again, it just comes back to, I think we massively dropped the ball in the summer on this centre-back position. Big time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the writing was on the wall as soon as Thiago Silva was leaving, that we had to go and act on a centre-back that was good enough and at the level as close as possible to Thiago Silva. And Tosin just wasn't ever going to be that. I think, he's probably more, I don't know whether he's more he probably is slightly more experienced than a couple of our centre-backs. And in terms of age, he's a little bit older. And potentially he's a good talker, because I've heard that he's a bit of a leader in the dressing room. But I don't really think it ever ticked enough of the requirements that Chelsea needed in a centre-back as probably their main centre-back. And I just feel like how on earth can you not see that these players have been...
Sorry, mate, I was just going to quickly say it gets even worse.
Charlie.
Fofana could be out for the rest of the season. Well, that confirms what we're saying, bro. We have to sign someone right now.
Yeah, it does, mate. Honestly, so what they've probably done, I haven't seen the press conference, but he's probably said a very long time. Someone's probably pressed him for a day, and he said the rest of the season potentially. As soon as you said, Charlie, out for a while, and they don't put a date on it, that means they've had bad news.
It's long for you, yeah.
As soon as you call back Aaron Anselmino, that means they got news that they've lost the centre back basically, and I think that's probably. I think it's a bit harsh, but that could be the nail in the coffin for Wesley Fofana at the very top. I just don't see how he's ever going to keep getting back to the level if he's out again for a season. It's obviously going to be an issue that's a big injury. I think he's had 3, if you include the leg break, 4. So he's in a bad way in terms of maintaining fitness. Chelsea have to act. And look, we've lost a lot of money on him, obviously, but I don't know.
70 million quid on him, didn't we? Well, 75 potentially with 5 mil add-ons. I mean, if they're appearance based, maybe we're not going to ever pay those 5 mil add-ons, but that's probably the least of our problems right now. Unfortunately, he could be out for the entire season. We don't know exactly yet, but it's a huge loss. If we're look, I don't want to, because look, people aren't getting injured on purpose, right? And there's obviously a human side to this, and how difficult it is when you keep getting injured. You work so hard to get yourself back, but what we need to look at here is you're looking at someone you spent a lot of money on, and potentially, this is not definitely going to happen, but it's obviously a lot worse than what we all initially thought. is that you're going to have someone who over the last 2 seasons has might only play 10 or 11 league matches.
Yeah, the best
That's
ability
not
is
good enough.
availability, and it's an issue. You have to. I feel like you have to be able to rely, and this is why someone like Disasi has been given opportunities time and time again, because not that he's necessarily good enough, but he's always available. Like 90% of the time, Disasi is there ready to go. And yes, there is definitely a drop off in Disasi when it comes to quality, but you'd rather have someone available and dependable on someone than someone who for 5 games a season is unreal. We've got the same with Reece. We've got the same with obviously with Fofana now. I think Lavia could be in the same boat as these two as well. Look, Aaron Anselmino, as good as he may be in 5 years' time,
He's not ready. He's not the answer now.
Not the answer. Look, he could be, and I'm saying that pretty blindly. I've seen a very small compilation of him. I don't think he looks like the answer right now.
He's not even fit anyway right now.
Yeah, is he not?
No, no,
Yeah,
bro.
He's
been injured at the moment. But I mean, look, we recalled him to obviously for these reasons. But I mean, you look at it now. I mean, surely the club's hand is forced now. Whatever targets you were looking at for centre back in the summer, we've got to bring those forward. And if that means that you've got to pay a little bit more than you originally wanted to, or mate, even like you're looking at smart business here, even if you don't want to go and pay money for a centre back now, what about something like this? Do you know why would you not explore that? I know people like there'll be some Chelsea fans that think absolutely no way. What are we thinking? But actually, desperate times call for desperate measures. And you know, everyone, as you said, everyone knows we're going to be desperate for a centre back now of this news. Prices will go up. Prices are inflated in January anyway. Why would you not leave your centre back targets to the summer? You've got someone who is Premier League proven, knows the club inside out, has proven he can perform at this level, has proven that he can play for Chelsea. Why would you not look at doing something like that as a temporary fix for January? Why?
I completely agree with you. And I was very vocal in the summer saying that the way we're treating Trevor Chalobah just isn't right. And I don't think he should be going anywhere. Because I actually think when I've watched Maresca's system and I see the role Disasi plays, I actually think Trev would have been even more suited than someone like Disasi, because I think he's a bit more of an athlete, to be honest with you. I think it depends on Trev. I think if he turns around and says, I don't want to come back, look how you've treated me, I'm happy to stay at Palace and they're going to buy me in the summer, we've kind of already played our hand, and it's probably more in his hand. I think he probably would come back to Chelsea. I think he loves Chelsea. I think he would want to prove the board wrong and say, look, you tried to get rid of me and you're on the phone trying to get me back. I don't know. I wonder if they view Vega as a centre-back option. That's kind of what crept into my mind.
Yeah, again, mate, that's another one. I wouldn't be surprised now if Vega drops into that centre-back pool. But
he does. Like, if they're reluctant or they don't have a centre-back in mind, I'm not sure. Josh obviously is going to probably. I mean, to be honest with you, if Disasi's in line to start against Palace, I would go and put Josh in the team instead of him, to be honest with you, and just give him a chance in the Prem and see if he takes it. So we're not in a good position, and defence was already a bad area for us in terms of this squad and how it's been built. Look, Alfie's not coming back. I don't actually believe Alfie would be helpful in this situation, because I think he can probably play right back at a push. I don't see where Alfie's position helps, to be honest with you. Cucurella obviously can play as a centre back if needed.
But not in a four. I wouldn't play him in a back four, though, would you?
Then that would probably be like the right back inverted for the rest of the season. Look, they're versatile players, but they're not concrete options. And we need to go and sign a player. I think we needed to sign one even with the team as it was. We definitely are needing to do that now. And I think the likes of Levi Colwell would benefit from us going and signing a top-level centre-back who maybe breaks the wage level that we've got, the cap, and is maybe a couple of years older and a bit more experienced, but they fit the bill. I'd take players like Tamori, Marc Guiu. I would take them, but I still think there's a level above them that would really benefit this squad.
Yeah, I think like what we're looking at now this month in the centre-back scenario is you're looking at opportunities in the market. I think personally for me, I'd rather us try and find a temporary fix until the summer and then get who we really want. Unless you already know for certain who you want and you're prepared to slap down more money than you would have to do in the summer, and you just go and do it and you bring them mid-season, fine. But for me, I'm looking at temporary fixes. I'm looking at, let's bring Trevor Chalobah back. I'm looking at, is there someone available either like on a free or someone, you know, you could get in that could do a job short term, 6 months. That for me is kind of the way that I'm looking at it. I think now we've seen with the business we've done in the summer, I think Chelsea are moving away from being those guys that just chuck money at everything, and we're now looking at opportunities in the market, deals that make more financial sense. So, but what I would say is, if we don't address this in January, I promise you, mate, that changes my thoughts ever so slightly on Champions League football next season, because I think it is that important now that if we don't address this month, then I honestly think our top 4 situation could be in danger.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle. It is. I didn't realise he was going to be out for this long, to be honest. I
don't think any of us did.
No, I thought he'd get back into the team in time for us to really push on towards the end of the season. Obviously, it looks like even if he does, I know people are saying Reece can play centre back. We can't even rely on Reece.
Not in a back 4.
Oh, I completely agree. We need to go. I'm just picturing it. You can just imagine Disasi and Tosin is okay, but what happens? If there's another injury, you could potentially end up with Tosin and Disasi as centre backs with Aaron Anselmino on the bench or something like that. It could be
exactly. This is exactly it, isn't it? Like you're now in a situation where you're a Tosin injury away from playing Colwell and Disasi, and then your other options are literally Vega, who's a utility man. So, like Anselmino's not ready yet. Maresca said that in a press conference, and that they're gonna get him fit and whatnot, get him adjusted to the surroundings and all that, and then they're gonna take a decision. So he's out of the picture for the immediate, right? So you're looking at it now, and you're one injury away from playing, as I said, Disasi or Vega at centre back as your first choice pairing.
Yeah, it's really concerning, to be honest with you. To be honest, that someone's just thrown that name in the chat, right? Jared Branthwaite. And to be fair, if we went and lumped big money on him, I would definitely be up for that, because I think the difference in Everton's defence since he returned is unbelievable. The only thing is he's obviously a left-sided defender as well, which would probably clash with Colwell. So I'm not sure whether they'd see that as the right profile. I hear what you're saying. They've recalled Aaron Anselmino. Why would they have not? Why would they have not recalled Trev first if they viewed him as a possible? That's what's concerning me.
I don't think they view Trev as an option to solve this solution, but they absolutely should be.
Yeah, they've probably already put Trev on the books for the summer, when obviously someone is going to pay a sort of a transfer fee. They probably planned for that already. Look, I honestly don't know, but I think it means that for the next 27, 28 days in Jan, we have to be on the phone trying to make that. And we're going to
be linked with every centre back under the sun now. Watch from tomorrow, mate. There's going to be so many centre back links coming out, but. Look, as you said, bro, we're going to have a list of centre-backs we're looking at. I just, like, most January business tends to be summer business brought forward, right? But people are mentioning names like Thomas Araujo, Guiu, Murillo. Do you know how much money it's going to cost to get these guys out mid-season? Forest legitimately are trying to push for Champions League, Europa League. They're not going to sell Murillo, their first-choice centre-back, in January for less than 80, 90 million pounds. Let's be honest there. Araujo, Benfica, we know what Rui Costa's like. Guiu, Palace struggling near the bottom. They're 5 points above the drops. They're not going to sell their captain cut price in January. Like, we got to think about the bigger picture. That's why, like, I don't want people to think I'm like lacking ambition or whatever. But unless you can get your target you want in the summer, then for me, we've got to be exploring short-term options here. And with the centre backs available right now, I don't think it's outrageous to say that if you recall Chalobah, he's straight back into the team.
I think he would be. I think he's good enough, but I think they're so insistent on those type of players leaving because they can put it on the books as clear profit. That it might have crossed their mind, but I don't think they would have recalled Aaron Anselmino if they thought Trevor was a viable option. That's just how I view it. I think Trevor is obviously good enough. We're desperate. He loves Chelsea. He knows what this team requires. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the situation we're in right now. I'd much rather have him on the bench than Disasi. I'd much rather him starting than Disasi.
And also, by the way, he's a way better right back than Disasi as well.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I think he's more of an athlete, and I just think he suits that role that Maresca's asking Disasi to play way more so than the Disasi does himself. Disasi, for me, is the biggest misprofiling of a player I think I've ever seen. I don't know who looked at Disasi, who's almost a very limited defensive centre-back, and thought, yeah, you could play right-back. I don't know whoever thought that when they were looking at our squad last season. There was probably 2 or 3 players I would have tried at right-back before I got round to trying Disasi.
Yeah, no, mate, I absolutely hear it. But, mate, it goes back to what we've been saying. As much as I hate to do it, we need to start having serious conversations about players who are consistently unavailable, because we're paying a lot of money for guys that are giving us 5 or 10 games a season. And this is not me going personally attacking these players. This is me saying that from a business standpoint and from a footballing standpoint, if we've got players in the squad, I don't care how good you are. If you're giving me 5 or 10 games maximum per season, you're useless to the team. That is, you're not like a Ronaldinho or a CR7 or a Messi where you're like, do you know what? Them 5 or 10 games, they're going to be unbelievable, and you maybe give it a little bit of a pass. It's like we're in a situation now where we've got players who are first choice who we consistently cannot rely on. We're trying to build a team around the likes of Fofana, Reece James, Romeo Lavia. 3 very talented players in their own right, but 3 guys who've consistently proven that they cannot stay fit, and yet we're trying to build a team around these guys. Like, it doesn't make sense. For me, I think we seriously need to start looking at buying someone to go and start at centre-back. And if Fofana gets back fit and he proves himself, great. You've got 3 starting quality centre-backs, and you've got that really good squad depth to attack Champions League and all this stuff. But, this idea that, we need to bring someone in that, is just is a better level of backup to Fofana. Now, we need a first choice now, and Fofana is going to have to be the backup until he proves that he can stay fit. We have to start making ruthless decisions here. I'm not saying sell him, but we've got to bring someone in that is like going to go straight into the team, because we can't keep relying on these guys. This is not the first time it's happened, and I hate to say it, this won't be the last time either.
No, it definitely won't be. If we put ourselves where we're in a position where we're dependent on players who can't even depend on their own bodies, it's going to lead to problems. And we're finding that again now. We found it at numerous times at right back. We found it a little bit at midfield when we've wanted Lavia to play more minutes and he's not been able to. So yeah, look, we absolutely we're a squad that haven't, or a team that haven't been able to register players in the Conference League because we're genuinely concerned about whether or not these players can potentially play minutes. So the club are aware of players like Lavia, Fofana, and their injury issues, but it almost felt like they weren't aware when we actually built the squad. So yeah, no, arguably worse. I think Reece might have played more games than Fofana in the last few seasons.
Mate, someone just DM'd me on Twitter saying how many games Fofana's played. Let me just find it.
Fofana's
played 34 games in 3 seasons for Chelsea.
And what's Reece? Like Reece
I don't know, guys. Can someone in the chat tell me how many games Reece? Can someone research how many games Reece James has played in the last 2 or 3 seasons for Chelsea? Because if this is true, Fofana's played 34 games since we signed him. This is his 3rd season now. He's played 34 games.
He's played 34.
Yeah, he's played 34 for us, Fofana.
That is outrageous. He's literally cost 2 million a game.
He hasn't even played a season, by the way. Like if you average it out right, 38 games in a league season, the guy in 3 years hasn't even played 1 season's worth of football for us.
Yeah, look, that it's just as harsh as it is, and it is a human. 30. So Reece has actually, in the last Oh no, I'm not sure if they're putting that. But anyway, in the last few seasons, we've had this issue in a number of positions. We even had it with Kante towards the end of his time at Chelsea, where we were really reliant on an unbelievable player, but he wasn't fit either. And I just feel like we're not learning from our mistakes here, and we're relying on players that aren't able to rely on themselves. You've got to go and look at players that are first and foremost available. The Premier League and football fixtures in Europe now are just unbelievable. They're coming every 3 days. And if you cannot stay fit and cannot meet those requirements, you shouldn't even be deemed as a viable option for a team to sign, in my honest opinion.
So we've got 30 league games for Reece in the last 2.5 seasons. Yeah, I mean, it's not. Look, it's not great. Whatever way we look at it, it's not great. And then, yeah, but it goes back to what we were saying, mate. Why, as a football club, right, when you know that despite how talented these guys are, you can't rely on it. Now, look, I don't want to sit here and preach that I was saying this in the summer, because I wasn't saying this in the summer. And hindsight's a great thing. But you look back now, right? No one batted an eyelid really at Santos or Ugochukwu being loaned out. But now you're looking at it, and we've gambled on Romeo Lavia being fit. We could have done with one or both of those guys, because now all we've got are Enzo and Caicedo in midfield. Dewsbury Hall isn't trusted. Chukwuemeka is out the picture completely. Vega's not trusted in midfield. And so you've got Enzo and Caicedo who are playing 90 minutes week in, week out, being run into the ground at an intensity. We've got no other options in midfield. And now you're looking at it and you're sort of thinking a lot of good things have been done. But why were decisions made when everyone's got the information available to them that you cannot hang your hat on a Lavia, a James, a Fofana to stay fit? Yet we made decisions based around that. And now we're now on the back foot, and we're sort of surprised that this has come back and bitten us in the arse here. I don't understand some of the decisions that were made in the summer. I wasn't saying at the time we should have kept both of them, but I think we should have kept one. And we're now paying the price big time, because particularly against Ipswich, Caicedo and Enzo, they looked leggy.
No, they did. And really concerning that we have a squad the size that we do, and Maresca even come out and said this squad is tired, but he's also opted to not rotate the squad and make minimal substitutions. And I find that really confusing, because if you're refusing to trust the players that you have at your disposal and not use them and not make 10 subs instead of 3, you cannot complain about the fatigue issue when you could have helped it as a manager. So yeah, it's concerning for me. If you don't trust the squad, that's an issue. And 2,
he clearly doesn't, though, does he?
He doesn't. And by not trusting the squad, he's now given himself a fatigue issue. And realistically, this season, Chelsea should absolutely not be discussing fatigue this season, because the majority of players have played one game a week to where we are now.
Yeah, but do you know what? Do you know what the problem is now as well? And I was discussing this the other day, bro. Like, everyone's talked about the squad depth, right? We've now lost the advantage of the rotation because the Conference League has gone until March. So we've lost that rotational advantage. That rotational advantage is not there anymore. So now players are having to play more than once a week. Players are not getting a rest that we're getting a rest every 1 or 2 weeks. So you're looking at a Cole Palmer now who's playing all the time, looking at a Caicedo playing all the time, and Enzo. We've lost the ability to rotate because the Conference League is gone. And I think what we're also finding is that the Conference League, because of the poor quality in it, masked over the deficiencies of a lot of these rotational players. Now, I think we're now seeing that because of the quality of the Conference League, and when you put these rotational players in to do a job in a higher level of quality in the Premier League, we're actually seeing that some of them aren't actually capable or aren't actually up to the task right now. And I just think the Conference League, the rotation there, the poor quality in it masked over the fact that a lot of these squad players do actually have a number of deficiencies.
Yeah, I think we saw that, didn't we, against Newcastle away in the League Cup. I think that was the first game where we might have realised that they might not be at the level we were kind of hoping they could be at. And I think also we've seen a number of these players that have played in positions in the Conference League not be trusted in those positions when they've been rotated in the Premier League. So that also is another concern I have. I think we've built a good squad. I think there are a number of talented players, but actually what we're seeing in the output from this squad, I don't think it's hitting the level that the sporting directors probably expected it to.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You go back to trust, right, in the squad, and this is where I'm not bad mouthing Maresca or turning on the gaffer or anything like that. But remember last January, right? Pochettino wanted midfield reinforcements. We didn't sign anyone. We bought back Cesare Casadei from Leicester, right? That was the option he was given. He didn't use that option at all. Casadei didn't start a single game over the second half of the season, and yet Pochettino continued to moan about a lack of depth and lack of options in midfield. You were given an option, but you actively chose not to use it. Now, I look at it, and Maresca's doing the same. Now, whether he's actively choosing not to use those options, whether he doesn't trust those options, that's irrelevant. He is making a decision not to use those options. Now, are you telling me that someone like a Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, whatever people think of him, are you telling me that you don't trust this guy to play 20 minutes, half an hour in the Premier League to do a job for your team? Is that the point that we're at right now? Are you telling me that Carney Chukwuemeka is not good enough? You don't trust him to play 15, 20 minutes to give a Caicedo or an Enzo Fernandez a rest? Is that the situation we're in right now? Are you telling me that we spent £30 million on a Dewsbury-Hall and you're saying to me of your decisions that I don't trust this guy to be able to do 15, 20 minutes for the team? Surely we're not in that stage.
When the game has pretty much already left us and you could just give him the opportunity to see. I think people are saying he's injured, but he hasn't been injured every game, has he? I know exactly what you mean.
No, he doesn't even make squads.
Never looked to him once. For weeks, he couldn't even get in the Premier League squad. And I actually think that's where we're at. I think there's a number of players that, one, I actually believe Maresca must have discussed Dewsbury-Hall in terms of him coming to the club. Must have, because I just feel like that it felt like Maurizio Sarri bringing in Jorginho, it felt like that was a guy that he was well aware of, knew what he was capable of doing. Casadei's another player he's well aware of, and he doesn't trust either of them, and they both contributed to his Leicester team winning a championship, and he doesn't trust either of them. So look, I don't know where this squad stands right now, but I do think these players some of them haven't actually been given a fair chance to even see if they could be at the level.
No.
Dewsbury-Hall, look, I don't know his fitness. I don't know where that's currently at, but he has played against Ipswich last season. All right, they've spent a bit of money. It's not the exact same squad, but I'm sure he'd back himself to try. That the last time I remember seeing him play was probably in the Prem Leicester for like the last couple of minutes.
Mate, and they were sympathy minutes as well, by the way. Make no mistake about it. It was a little token gesture. Have your 2 minutes in stoppage time, back at the King Power and all that. It was bordering on disrespectful a little bit.
Yeah, it is. But I've heard Jimmy Bullard speak ages ago about why Capello didn't give him sympathy minutes to get his first England cap, and he laughs and jokes about it now. And I think that is literally the same sort of situation. I can imagine Dewsbury-Hall was like, "Oh, Gaffer, let me have a minute, please, just to come back and see my old fans." So, yeah, look, if we've spent 30 million on that and he's not good enough and he isn't viewed as a viable option, it just makes it so much more work. Like the decision to let Gallagher go looks so much worse now, because for 40 million of pure profit to bring in João Felix and Dewsbury-Hall off the back of that deal, neither of them are now trusted to be in the squad. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Mate, it doesn't make sense at all. I can't get my head around it. And another thing that doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me, I don't want this to come across as negative, because there's a lot of good things right now going on. But,
I agree.
This is another one for me that doesn't make an awful lot of sense if I can just find it. There's currently no plans to send Marc Guiu on loan unless he pushes for a move. Right, okay. So I'm not saying that Marc Guiu's the answer, okay? But what I am saying is that we have seen Christopher Nkunku as a number 9 is not that guy. That is not the answer. Maresca has consistently said himself, Nkunku is not a 9, yet he consistently plays him there as a 9, and then we wonder why he's shit as a number 9, and it doesn't work out. I'm at the stage now where if Christopher Nkunku is on the pitch as a number 9, it is a net negative for the team at this point in time. if I'm Marc Guiu, right, and this is a kid that is 18 years old, so he's equivalent of someone that's just come out of the academy, really. But this was a guy that was getting minutes in the Barcelona first team last season, right? This is a guy that suits how we're playing right now way better than Christopher Nkunku does. This is a guy that's got anticipation. This is a guy that chases everything. He presses from the front. He's got that striker's instinct in the box. You look at a lot of the goals that he scored this season. Forget they're in the Conference League. Look at the anticipation, the alertness and whatnot. Playing him as a number 9 is going to be so much more beneficial to this team than having Nkunku up there. And this is not me saying, because people say, oh yeah, you're saying that Guiu's a better footballer than Nkunku. No, I'm not saying that he's a better footballer than Nkunku. He's not a better footballer than Nkunku. But as a number 9 for Chelsea, with how we play, it is going to be much better for the team if you're not playing Nicholas Jackson to play Marc Guiu. And I cannot understand why this guy has not played in the Premier League since the opening day of the season against Man City.
Yeah, I think it's probably just down to Nkunku and the fact that he's probably said, I want Premier League minutes. And he's obviously been given them in a lot of games because he always seems to come on. And I just don't think he's a viable option at 9 anymore. I think we've seen enough. The experiment hasn't worked. And if this kid's not going to be loaned out, then I believe he should be down on the team sheet now as the second choice striker because look, Nkunku's not scoring goals. Jackson's not in the best patch of form. Maybe you give this kid a run out and a chance because the one thing you can guarantee he'll give you is 100% work rate. He's definitely got that about him, and he will run himself into the ground, and in that time he may nick a goal. So for me, I think you're getting more out of playing this kid at striker than you are from Nkunku, and the body language from the two will be completely different. Nkunku looks like a player that is fed up being asked to do the role of a number 9. Every time I see him. For 10 minutes against Ipswich, I felt like he looked happy when he got moved to the left in that sort of pocket that he's thrived in before. And then he got dragged off for Sancho, I think. And for me, that was one of the only times I felt like I looked at Nkunku's body language. He started dropping deep, trying to get on the ball. And for 10 minutes, I was like, okay, that's the happiest I've seen you look on Chelsea's pitch. And you got dragged off in 10 because you still didn't do enough. And I really wanted him to do well at Chelsea, but I think the writing's on the wall, to be honest with you. And for now, I'd rather give the kid a chance.
Yeah, mate, I'm exactly with you on it. And this is like, I just think Nkunku's just been a victim of circumstance. Injuries have obviously not helped. Signing Joao Felix hasn't helped. But even if we hadn't signed Felix, right, and we'd signed Omorodion, for example, right, Nkunku is still second choice number 10. So it's not like if we hadn't signed Felix and we'd signed a striker instead that Nkunku would be getting drastically more minutes. I don't think he would have been because Cole Palmer is pretty much undroppable and is playing 90 minutes virtually every week. So this idea that if we hadn't signed Felix and we'd signed a striker instead, Nkunku might be getting more minutes, which is what some people think. I actually don't think it would have changed anything. I think it would have been probably the same.
Yeah, or less. I think if we'd have actually signed a striker, I just wouldn't have seen where he would be getting into the team because the biggest thing for Nkunku is Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer wasn't meant to be the Nkunku replacement, and he turned out to be it. And now Nkunku is basically, unless you're playing 2 10s or a striker and room for Nkunku to fit onto the pitch as well, he just isn't an option unless he's there for rotation, and he's not going to be happy with that because look, I actually believe he'll get a move and he'll thrive wherever he goes, and probably because the team will decide to build their sort of system around him or fit him in at least. Yeah, look, it's not ideal. It's sad that a player of his, because there's quality there. It's sad that it's not going to work out, but at the same time, the way Maresca's going to have Chelsea playing, it's looking more and more likely that Nkunku just isn't going to be an option.
But bro, he's not an option. And like, I'm not. Where was this comment here? Let me just quickly find it. Like this, look, there's nothing wrong. Like that could well happen, right? And Nkunku could go somewhere and do really well, and that's fine. But that isn't a reason to keep Nkunku when he's not working for us. If he goes elsewhere and does well, that's fine. That doesn't reflect badly on us. It wasn't working out for us. He wasn't doing the business for us. So I think we've got to move out of this mindset. I'm not saying this person's got this mindset, by the way. We've got to move out of this mindset that, we should hold on to people, even though they're a net negative for the team at this point in time because of a fear that they might do well somewhere else. The number one priority for me is, are they doing a business at Chelsea? Are they helping the team? Are they helping the squad? If they're not, and you sell them and you get some money for them and they go and do well elsewhere, then that's okay. That's football. That happens. Like, it doesn't reflect badly on us, because ultimately, if you sell someone and they do well elsewhere, you sold them for a reason, because they weren't doing the business. So I don't have an issue if Nkunku goes somewhere else and he does well. Like,
I'm with you on that. And do you know what? 90% of players that leave Chelsea, I'd say they actually don't go on to better. 90% of players that leave, even one of our greatest, Eden Hazard, didn't go on to better. I think, although his trophies might say that he didn't. I look at Rudiger, probably a success going to Real Madrid. I think Havertz has done better since he left. But you look at Mount, Kovacic, Werner, these players haven't done better. Kante's not done better since he left, might be fitter. A couple of the AC Milan boys, they've done better in terms of staying fit, but in terms of what they've achieved isn't probably as good. So yeah, look, for me, I don't know, actually, maybe Milan have won the league. I'm not sure if they have. But anyway, I think 90% of the time we expect these players to go on and do better because we see the positives in them, but they actually don't. I think Nkunku is a player that is so dependent on a system. I actually think if the system isn't right for him, I don't think it's easy to fit him into different roles. I think we're seeing that right now. And look, if he goes and plays somewhere else and he succeeds, then fair play to him. But it really wouldn't bother me if it means we're now in a better position because we've got a better option to win football matches. And that's how I view Havertz as well.
yeah, no, mate, I absolutely agree. Nkunku was doing no, but bro, look, I don't want to disrespect Conference League goals, but like that, I'm not judging Nkunku's ability on goals being scored in the Conference League. We can't be doing that.
Although limited minutes, judging Nkunku's ability as a 9 in the Premier League minutes that he's been given, because someone like, for example, someone like John Duran last season was probably getting similar minutes to Nkunku at this stage of the season.
Bro, he was scoring like every week off the bench, pretty much.
Exactly, because good strikers score goals and they've got that instinct and they can do it with inside 10, 20 minutes, half hour. You can just see that Nkunku, the body language tells you the whole story. He does not want to play as a 9. It's not his game.
No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. But yeah, I mean, obviously, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts heading into this Palace game, by the way? Because the last couple have been poor. Ipswich was interesting. It was poor, but it's not like we didn't create opportunities. We didn't take them. Obviously, the changes we made didn't work. But I mean, there's a pattern that's emerged here in this article by Kieran Gill. A pattern's emerged over the Christmas period. Chelsea managed their highest possession figures of the season, 75 and 76% at Everton and Ipswich, but failed to score in consecutive league away games for the first time since February 2019. I mean, mate, when you look at the sort of the last couple of games, the recent form, it's not been great. We're still in a good position, by the way. It's not panic stations, but are there a few things that have crept in for you over the last sort of 2 to 3 games that, if it's not addressed quickly, are a little bit concerning?
Yeah, there is a couple of things. I think they could be concerning. Right now, I'm not panicking. If we don't get a win against Palace, it's not a great month. It's actually a pretty poor December, I'd say. I mean, Palace last season was a tough game. I mean, we stood next to each other. It was a great day. Wasn't it? Yeah, last minute, Conor Gallagher and Enzo, I think.
Yeah.
So unbelievable, and we sang "Don't Worry About a Thing," and it was a great away night. But at the same time, I think this is a different test this season because of the way we're going into this game. I can't remember the results going into Palace, but I think we were in a slightly better patch of form. I think Maresca's made a rod for his own back with a couple of tactical decisions. I think they haven't worked. A couple of decisions in terms of how he's utilised the squad, because I don't think the substitutions have been enough. I think they've been a little bit too late at times. I think they've been limited as well. I think 1 in one game, 2 in another. It's just not enough for me. But yeah, I expect us to get back to it against Palace. I really do. I think Maresca's done a good job of learning from his mistakes. The Palace game earlier on in the season was a tough game. I think we ended up getting a draw, didn't we? We were all over them in the first half. Second half, they definitely crept back into the game more. They definitely caused some issues. They went with I think they ended up with wing backs against
Yeah,
us, and that actually seems to be something that Maresca is not coping well. We saw with Fulham, he went with wing backs, and it kind of catches his system out a little bit because where he gets his wingers in dangerous 1v1 areas, when he's against wing backs, they kind of get pinned back in a little bit, and I think it actually limits his system. So I'm intrigued to see if he does something about that. I think I'm just trying to remember that Palace game. I seem to remember a lot of bodies, definitely like Will Hughes, get put in between our midfield, and it
yeah.
caused us some issues. So it's going to be a tough game. I really, really hope we're up for it. London Derby. It was a tough place to go last season. They were arguably the better team for probably 50, 60 minutes. And then a couple of changes from Poch obviously ended up helping us to win the game. And I think Nkunku came on in that game late on as well. Didn't really do a lot. But yeah, it's a tough place to go, and it's not an easy game. And it's one of the worst fixtures I could think of playing on
Really
the back
difficult.
four because it feels like a banana skin potentially, because you know Palace have got quality. They've got a manager that Maresca's struggled against before. It's not an easy game, but sometimes an easy game can also be an issue, because I would have said Ipswich would be an easy game. And I think at times we made it look pretty easy. We played good football, but we just didn't have that final pass or that final ability to score a goal in that game against Ipswich. And I think it cost us massively.
No, mate, it absolutely did. I mean, you look back to the last two games at Selhurst Park, right? They've required last-minute winners. Under Potter, Gallagher top bins last minute, and then last season we had the obviously the last-minute stuff as well. So this is not an easy game. Look, Palace are 5 points above the drop zone, right? And they've been struggling this season, but they have only. I think they've only lost. I don't think they've lost. I think they lost once in their last 6 games. So they are doing a little bit better. But regardless, right, Selhurst Park is still a difficult place to go. And it's one of them places you don't really want to go to when you're on a difficult run. I mean, mate, what do you want to see different in this game compared to what we've seen previously? I mean, if we look at selection issues, for example, he made 5 changes against Ipswich. Arguably, no one impressed. The Sassy didn't impress. I don't think Felix and Nkunku impressed. Madueke didn't do well. Jorgensen, you can say the penalty was unlucky or whatever. I don't think he particularly did anything stand out or whatever. So the 5 players that come in didn't really do their chances of showing the gaffer they should be playing more in the league any good. I'm expecting more changes. What changes do you want to see, and what do you want to see us do differently?
Well, differently. First of all, is I think we have to. I'm not sure what the answer is right now, but I think we have to do something with our system that still allows our wingers to get the best out of them without them getting pinned back. And I think we saw against Fulham with what Anthony Robinson was capable of doing, where he basically overloaded that left-hand side along with Iwobi, and that caused real issues for Gusto. And then it obviously meant that Neto had to be pinned back as well. I could see a repeat of that with the way Palace play with their wing backs. So I hope Maresca, in my opinion, goes with 3 centre backs and probably probably someone like Gusto to just cover for the wing backs. But I don't think he will. But that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see him be a little bit more pragmatic and actually change up his system a bit to make sure we get make sure we can cover with the wing backs where they create that overload on either side, because that Munoz obviously can cause issues on the right for them. Left back is what, Tyreek Mitchell. So
yeah, probably be Mitchell. Yeah, be Mitchell and Munoz or Munez, whatever it's called.
The 3 centre backs. But I think I believe that someone can invert and then obviously play in a defensive role when we haven't got the ball, and then push on. And it would cope for those sort of games, because the last thing you want is Neto being pinned back defending, because it just showed against Anthony
Like he did against Fulham. He was basically playing as a wing back.
If that's going to be the case, why would you play Neto there? I would have rather played someone like Josh, someone like, not necessarily Gazassi, but someone like that, or bring Kukurea into the back 3 and just give us an extra option to defend that overload, rather than waste someone like Pedro Neto there, because Neto is not a defender, and 90% of that second half against Fulham, he was defending.
Right, he was just defending non-stop. I mean,
you rather have someone like Gusto or Reece there to play as a potential wing back and good enough to be dynamic enough and be an outlet.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, in terms of the front line, Jackson will obviously come back in, we presume. What combination of wingers would you go with? Because I don't think Madueke really played that well. Sancho and Neto were both on the bench. Felix, I don't think, look, whilst Felix probably did the most creative stuff, I don't think he's done enough to warrant a start in this game. Is it as simple as just reverting back to Jackson, Neto, and Sancho? Or do you think that maybe we do something different?
No, I think I'd go with that, to be honest with you. I believe that's probably our best attacking options, to be honest. Look, I'll be concerned if I see Neto fulfilling the same role that he did against Fulham, because I actually think that's a recipe for disaster with that type of player. I think he's guaranteed to pick up injuries, constantly sprinting like that. He looked exhausted against Fulham. I actually just don't think that helps him. Madueke was, I'll be honest, was really disappointing against Ipswich. Really disappointing.
Do you think it's do you think it sends a bad? I'm not sure what my opinion is on this, but do you think it sends a bad message, right? That he's dropped from the squad for the reasons that we know, and then he goes straight back into the starting lineup, or do you think that's all right? I mean, I don't know what I think about it. I'm not really sure I've got an opinion either way. But what do you think?
I'll be honest. I've got the opinion that relationship is tarnished now between him and Maresca. I think he's given him an opportunity. He's not performed. He's not taken it. He may have trained better. He may have trained exactly how Maresca wanted him to, but it's happened 3 times before. He's been dropped from the team, trained well, got himself back in, and then it's happened again. It's been repeat 3 times. I'll be honest. I don't know whether or not Maresca will be having words about that, because if he believes that this player is not respecting what he's asking him to do, he's not going to want him in the team.
No, mate, I absolutely agree. I mean, this might be a mad thing to say, but I sort of maybe feel that we might miss Mudryk a little bit, just in terms of a different option to have, because you look at it now and we are almost pretty limited in the wide areas. It's 2 of Madueke, Sancho, and Neto starting, and you've got 1 option from the bench. There's not an awful lot to switch up. Felix is not a wide player, but I'm almost like, hang on a second. I think we're missing Mudryk more than a lot of people might want to admit.
Yeah, I think we are. That that extra body, whether obviously it is Mudryk for us, but it may not be anymore for the future. But we could be definitely in need of having an extra winger in the team. If he ends up being hit with a ban for like 1 to 2 seasons, you just don't know how long that'll be. I think that if that is the case, I actually believe Chelsea will act and bring in another winger. I think they probably would, because I think it's evident to see that the output from the wingers, arguably at this moment in time, isn't good enough as well. I think they're doing okay, but Madueke, I mean, the majority of his goals came in against Wolves, and other than that, he scored 2?
Scored against Forest, and he scored against I can't remember who else he scored against. There's one other team.
Yeah,
Southampton.
You're right. Yeah, Neto, what has he got? 1, 2. Sancho obviously has scored, but the output's not brilliant. I actually think there's room there for a winger that can absolutely score goals to break into this Chelsea team. I really do. I don't know who that is. I'm not going to just throw out names, but I think there is. That profile is there. People are saying Esteval, and obviously he looks exciting.
But they can't be putting pressure on a 17, 18-year-old kid to come in and carry the mantle. But mate, do you know what's interesting? I was thinking about this. You look at it, right, and look at all the money we've spent on attacking players. Look at the options that we've got. We're actually in a situation where we have got, if Palmer or Jackson don't score, we haven't really got any attacking players that are particularly prolific. I'm not saying that we need 20 goals from X, Y, Z people, but I couldn't hang my hat on and say that Madueke is going to get you 10 league goals. I couldn't say that Felix is going to do that. You couldn't say that Neto is going to do that. Neto, by the way, I've seen people criticize him. Neto has never been a goal-scoring winger. He's always been more of a creator. So if you were looking for goals from a wide player, you don't go and sign Pedro Neto. Okay, can he get more goals? Yes, absolutely. Of course he can. But I actually look at the attacking options and I think, other than Palmer and Jackson, we haven't got anyone you can actually rely on to score a goal, which seems mad with the money that we've spent to assemble the squad.
Well, I think the other option for me, and I've said this since the beginning of the season, I don't know how viable it is, because Maresca just won't do it. I saw it for the first time for 10 minutes against Ipswich, was Nkunku. I genuinely believe that the third option behind those two to score goals is Nkunku, and I don't think he's deployed. I think the Demon has said for me that would be the ideal system. To be honest with you, I would move Palmer out to the right. I would let Neto or Sancho battle it out for the left-hand side. Obviously, rotation from them two is okay. I think Felix and Nkunku could battle out for that 10 spot. And I think you would allow a natural overlapping wingback like Gusto to thrive rather than inverting him every week. And I think that would make a huge difference. And I think that adds in an extra 10 goals to the team potentially in a Premier League season. Because I think Nkunku being allowed to play as a second striker, I think you would see the player that we all expect him to be. But Maresca looks like he's not going to let that happen. He let it happen for 10 minutes and brought on Sancho because, look, it's just not how he views football. For me, with the squad and the players that we've got, that's how I'd set up my system.
Mate, I just think we need to try something a little bit different. And like shifting Palmer to the right and playing Nkunku or Felix in the 10, that's not changing the system. It's no different than having Felix playing in that wide area like you did against Ipswich, for example. You know, you didn't play two natural wingers. You simply didn't. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, the only time we've seen Palmer shift to the right-hand side was second half against Bournemouth, right? And he didn't have a particularly good game against Bournemouth. I think that's the only time I can recall us seeing it. I would love to know why. We've seen Caicedo at right back, right? Which has worked well. I'm not saying it's about the same impact, but for me, I can't understand when you're missing a body anyway in Mudryk, why you wouldn't potentially try why you wouldn't shift Palmer to the right and play an Nkunku or Felix at the 10 and then play Neto or Sancho down the left. I'm struggling to think of any reason why Maresca wouldn't do that. And maybe one reason what it comes back to is he always talks about balance, who's going to defend and whatnot when he's asked about these things. But I don't think that particularly changes anything. You just play Palmer right. It's the same combination of players on the pitch anyway, just in slightly different positions. I can't understand why that wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. And arguably, it's almost what Pochettino found at the end of last season that started moving us up the table was that sort of system where he had those players breaking into those sort of positions. It wasn't necessarily Nkunku because he wasn't playing all of the games, but he was in terms of how the system was working. He was inverting Cucurella, pushing on his right back. Look, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Maresca has spoken a lot about balance, and I actually don't think he's found it. I think in a number of games we've not looked balanced when he's spoken about it being such an important thing. So I don't know. I'm puzzled with the way that Maresca views football sometimes in certain games. I'm puzzled when, what puzzles me a lot is when he asks Cole Palmer to be deployed in the left-hand side of the 10 pocket. Because I don't think it does not work. I don't think you get the best out of him there. I don't think you get the best out of Enzo Fernandez there. And I don't think you get balance in the team. He's tried it a number of times. So for me, I think we were getting results and it was working, and we were beating teams, and we looked pretty comfortable a few games ago. I think we need to go back to that. Yeah, look, Lavia is a massive help. I think it is, but at the same time, we've got results without Lavia in the team this season as well. And I think we've kind of gone away from that in the last few games. And I also think, don't underestimate it. It's exactly what you said, is that Jackson isn't scoring goals at the moment. Jackson doesn't look like the player that was playing for the first 10 games this season. He looks like a player that we saw at the beginning of last season. I don't know what's happened there. Away from the goal and in his build-up play, he doesn't look good.
Yeah, look, I think it's natural that these players are going to go through dips in form. There's no denying that. But I would also look at it and just think we need some. I'm not saying we need to change the system, change the way we play. We just need a few alternatives, because too many times we've seen plan A deployed, right? And you can see it's not working, and yet nothing's really changed. It's just been like for like swaps, expecting something different to happen when it simply isn't going to be the case. I think Maresca needs to be a bit more proactive. I think we need to throw caution to the wind a little bit more in certain occasions. I think, changes need to be made earlier. I don't care who you are. If you're giving someone 10 minutes and expecting them to do something, it's unrealistic. there's a chance it might happen, but players need time to get up to speed with the game, get involved with it, and whatnot. And I just want to see him pick players and play them in their right positions, and I want to see him pick players based on form that deserve to play. I looked at a number of changes in the Ipswich game, for example, and I know we're probably not going to see Disasi again, but that Disasi decision, and when he named 3 right backs on the bench, that to me stunk of, I need to give this guy some minutes to keep him happy because the Conference League's gone. If I'm Josh Achimpong sitting on the game and sitting on a bench in that game, right? You're not playing Gusto, Reece is back on the bench, right? And you've just signed a new long-term contract, you're convinced of the pathway. If you cannot be trusted to play at right back against Ipswich, right, who have just come up from the Championship, if you cannot be trusted to play in that game, then what game are you going to be trusted in? We don't need to see Achimpong play against fucking Morecambe or play in the Conference League. We need to see if this guy can play at Premier League level. That would have been the perfect opportunity. So some of the decisions for me have not been making sense. Some of the decisions I think against Ipswich definitely smacked of, yeah, we need I've got to keep some of the more senior players happy. And I think when you start doing that, in my opinion, you start going down a little bit of a dangerous road.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think he's going to be trusted in Conference League games, which is worrying because we have to trust these kids and these players in bigger games to actually see what they're about. You have to give them opportunities. And it goes back to saying what we said about players like Dewsbury Hall and Cassidy is they were brought back in as options for the squad and then they don't get trusted by the manager. And then the sporting directors are annoyed that they've given the manager an option and then they aren't trusted. For me, if Josh starts against Palace, I wouldn't even. And it was over Disasi, and we played the same system as we did against Ipswich, with a couple of other changes. I actually wouldn't be that bothered. I'd say, look, give him his chance because I don't believe Disasi is good enough. I think he's okay, but I mean, we've all seen the mistakes that he's got in his locker, and at times he's as concerning as Badashine's been. But they just have a moment where they just lose all concentration and they ultimately lose you the game. Because I even think at 1-0, you have a chance. But as soon as that
always in the game,
the second one went in, and the way that it did, I just felt like, look, that is it. And having a player in the team that is capable of making an individual mistake like that and not learning because that's not his first one, that's a recipe for disaster for me. And there's no doubt about it in my mind that Josh looks way more comfortable in possession than Disasi.
Of course he does.
Fantastic. So I think you give him his chance and see if he takes it. And if he doesn't, then you have a discussion about buying someone else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I know you've got to shoot now. Bro, thanks so much for your time as always. Always a pleasure to catch up with you. Guys, make sure you subscribe to Dan's channel. It's tagged in the title. Please do that. Bro, catch up with you soon. Thanks for your time as always, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Charlie. Appreciate it. Absolute pleasure being on. Look, hopefully we get the win against Palace and things start going in the way we want them to again. But January's going to be an interesting one. I hope we sign a defender. I really do.
I'll do as well. Thanks so much, mate. Appreciate it as always. Right, guys. Make sure you are smashing that like button. We're 133 in the building. We are only on 62 likes. That's got to be up over 100 likes, guys. Keep doing it. So let's make sure you are smashing the like button. Subscribe as well if you're new around here. Get these likes up to 100. Yeah, it's been a packed show, people. I'm going to keep going for a little bit, talk a bit more about the Palace game. No, I think, look, at the end of the day, it's different opinions. But look, as I've said, there are a lot of good things going on with Chelsea right now. Undeniably, there are a lot of good things going on at Chelsea right now. No doubt about it. But we also have to provide balance as well. And there's a few things that have crept in that are a little bit concerning. And it's important to talk about those things as well. If people think it's negative or whatever, then that's okay. But I mean, look, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, right, what we've found out today is that we need to go and sign a centre back in January. We need to do a few different things in the transfer market. We need to do a few different things on the pitch as well. There's so many different things that we do need to do. And by no means are we in panic stations whatsoever. But there is pressure on this Crystal Palace games now. There is pressure on this game. We need to get the 3 points. Defensively, we are in big problems right now. Big problems right now. Bro, I don't care if Egbali's buying a fucking penthouse wherever it is. that doesn't bother me. What does bother me is what's going on a pitch right now and what we're doing. Let's focus on getting back to winning. Yeah. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure chatting with Dan. Christensen, Skriniar, or Ramos, free options. Yeah, look, I hear you on that. Milan Skriniar is 100% available, and this is what I'm saying. Like, we need, as I was saying before, for me, we're not going to be going and spending big money on a centre back in January. I personally don't see that. It can't, of course, be ruled out, but you've got to look at options. You have to look at options that we can do to tide us over. Milan Skriniar would be a potential option. So would bringing Trevor Chalobah back. Ansel Mino is what people think is the option, but is not an immediate option. And we need something much more than that very, very quickly. So, yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking, yeah, shit just got real in this January window. We need to bring plans forward. We absolutely fucked in defence. We need to bring someone else in. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what we do. Yeah, look, Barca are trying to get Olmo registered. I'm not thinking about Danny Olmo. What we have to be doing right now is bringing in a centre-back. Pure and simple. Centre-back needs to come in. Yes, run it up, people. Run it up. I mean, are we getting closer to the 100 likes? Yeah, we are getting closer. We're on 70. 30 more likes required. And people, keep subscribing to the channel as well, by the way. There is also a video dropping at 3 p.m. UK time, which is quite exciting. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. Make sure you stay tuned for that one. Yeah, there's plenty going on, guys. But is there a chance they bring back Trev? I don't think so. I personally would do that. I think that's the most obvious solution. I think that's the most logical solution. But I don't know if that's going to be something that the club are going to look at doing. I think if that was the case, then we would have done it. But I don't know for certain is my thoughts on that. I don't know for certain. So we are going to have to wait and see on that one. But I just think it makes the most sense. It solves a solution. And why would you not go and do that? Is my personal thoughts on it. Why would you not go and do that? So yeah, we are in problems. Tamori, for me, no, not on a permanent anyway. Yeah, sure, but you can still bring him back for 6 months to do a job, and for the position that we're in trouble in. That can absolutely happen. Look, whether people think we should be keeping Trev for the long term or not is kind of irrelevant in my view. But yeah, look, I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking this game tomorrow is massive, absolutely massive. We have got to get the 3 points, do whatever it takes. It's going to be really, really important for us. Really important. So let's see what we can do. But I'm going to go for a quick team, guys, a quick starting lineup that I would like to see. Make sure you get involved in the chat in your teams that you would like to see tomorrow, guys. Keep running up the likes, keep subscribing, all of that good stuff. You lot know exactly what to do. And we are in a situation here. Let me just quickly get this up on the screen, guys. In terms of what we may or may not see tomorrow. Maresca has confirmed, by the way, people, that Reece James will get minutes tomorrow. Whether that means a start or not, I suspect maybe he will come from the bench. But anyway, obviously, there's a decision to be made in goal. Now, I don't think there was any comments from Maresca about Robert Sanchez. I was seeing some things floating about saying he might have a knee injury or something. I don't think there's been any official confirmation of that. So, yeah, I suspect that he will return between the sticks. I suspect that will be the case, guys. What else are we looking at here? No, bro. Anselmino's got a work permit. He's got a work permit. That is confirmed. But yeah, he's not ready right now. So anyway, in goal, it will obviously be Robert Sanchez. That much is clear. Be Sanchez in goal. For me, I'll revert back to Malo Gusto. I mean, the back four basically picks itself. I mean, even if you wanted to do something different, you couldn't. I mean, you could play Josh, but I would go Gusto. It's obviously going to be Tosin, and Levi Colwell. And then you obviously play Cucurella in there. And then you play Cucurella at left back. That is the back four. I'd be surprised if we saw anything different. Right back is maybe the only one that is a possible change. You might see Reece James start, although I wouldn't fully bank on Reece James starting. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Because Kabasi is way better than Anselmino. That's why Anselmino is not ready yet. Bro, Anselmino's not ready. People thinking about Anselmino right now, the geezer's not ready. Simple as that. He isn't ready. So yeah, we need to look at that. I think Lavia will be in the squad. I don't know for certain. No. I think people always massively overact on these things. It is a problem. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. It's absolutely a problem. Absolutely a problem. So yeah. Anyway, no, we brought him. We brought him back. He's not even fit, by the way. He's been injured, so he's not even fit. But the reason that he came back, okay, is we can get the exact quotes from Enzo Maresca on Anselmino. He's not coming back to immediately play. All right. I don't know where people are getting this idea from that he's coming back to play straight away. The guy isn't coming back to play straight away. The quotes on Anselmino. Let me find it. Where is it? And just quickly, where is it? So, no, at the moment, the plan is to keep him here to allow him to work with us and then to take a decision. Do you think there's a chance? Do you believe he's ready to go into the team and help? No. But for sure, he's very young and he's coming from Argentina, completely different culture, different football, different level. So he needs time for that. So anyone that's thinking that Anselmino is going to play anytime soon is on a different planet. So there we go. But anyway, moving into midfield, we literally have no options in midfield. 0 options in the midfield, guys. People keep smashing the likes as well. We're 80 likes now. Let's get these final 20 likes boxed off, guys. Let's get these final 20 likes boxed off. Okay, so run up the likes. Keep subscribing if you're new around here as well. Let's have a quick look. What am I doing? So midfield is obvious. It's going to be Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo. You know, people have been trying to tell me Vega's going to play in midfield. Nah, less of that. So I'll just put Enzo there. Caicedo. And then Palmer. And then you look at, so that's what it's going to be. I've got no idea. I'm not thinking about that. I just hope that I just hope that things are different this time. That's all we can. That's all we can hope for. That's all we can hope for. Bro, I think he's injured anyway. But yeah, I see that. I'll be honest, I don't. But yeah, look, I think Felix will be on the bench. I don't think Felix is gonna. I don't think Felix will start this game. I don't believe he will. Yeah, they will, but we don't have any other options, unfortunately. I hope Marc Guiu can get minutes tomorrow. I would like that as well, but it's not going to happen. No, he doesn't trust Felix. No, I think that much is abundantly clear. Abundantly clear that abundantly clear that it's not going to happen. No, but yeah, buying a centre back is a must. Whether it's buying a centre back, whether it's recalling Chalobah, whatever it's doing, we need another senior level centre back to come into this squad. Simple as that. We need another senior level centre back to come into the squad, and let's hope that happens. In terms of the front three, I am reverting back to what we saw against Fulham. I am going. Going Pedro Neto on the right, Sancho on the left, and I am going Nicholas Jackson up front. And that is the team that I would like to see play tomorrow. What changes could we see from Maresca? We could see Reece James or Achimpong at right back. Other than that, I don't think anything else is going to be any different personally. But I could be wrong. When is Lavia back? I'm pretty sure he's close. Is he definitely back for this one? Where was he talking about Lavia? On Robert, let's have a look. No, mate. I don't know where there was the update on Lavia's fitness. Let me quickly try and find it, people. No, anyway, he's close. He might be in the squad, but regardless of what happens with Lavia, he's not starting. No, Neto works very hard defensively. I think that's a part of his game that is underutilized for sure. I think it's I don't think he gets a fair rap there. I think he's actually a very good defensive player, Pedro Neto. But yeah, guys, we're still 15 likes away from the 100. Run it up, people. Run it up. You lot know what to do. Friday afternoon settings. Bringing you all the content as always. So please keep smashing the like button. It's free. It takes seconds. Let's box off those last 15 likes. Yeah, no, Lavia was in training, but whether he's going to be in the squad or not, there's not been a confirmation yet. Yeah, Chilwell and Cassidy, and look, I don't think Nkunku or Disasi go in January, but Chukwuemeka, Cassidy, and Chilwell, I think will all go. I'd rather Sancho played in the 10. I wouldn't play Sancho in the 10. But yeah, look, Palmer on the right would be a possibility. So let's wait and see. But that's the team that I would be going with. Guys, let me know your score predictions. Get your score predictions in the chat, people. Get those score predictions in there. What are we saying? What are we saying in what are we saying score-wise, guys? Are we getting back to winning ways? That is the most important thing. That is the most important thing, guys. So let's get ourselves back to winning ways. What are you saying score prediction wise? What are we saying score prediction wise? 2-2, 1-1, 1-0 Palace. I fucking hope not. Look, I'll be honest. I could easily see a draw, people. I can't lie. I think a draw is very, very much a possibility. It's not really a possibility that I wish to entertain, but it is absolutely a possibility which looks like it could happen. We're going 2-1 Chelsea, 2-1 Chelsea, 3-1 Chelsea. We need to get back to winning ways. What have we got after this game? We've got obviously Morecambe in the FA Cup. And then it's what, Bournemouth, Wolves, and City, is it, to finish the month? I think that's it. Yeah, a draw is not a complete. A loss would be a disaster. There's no escaping that fact. A loss would absolutely be a disaster. Let's get a few more score predictions in, people. Let's get a few more score predictions in. 2-1 Chelsea, 3-2, 2-1, 2-1. 2-1 seems to be a pretty popular scoreline. That is also what I would go for. So let's hope that we can get them. I mean, he did love a goal away at Palace. Bournemouth and Wolves won't be easy. They're both at home though, so they won't. That should, whether that makes a difference or not, probably does make a little bit of a difference. We have to be honest there. This is a must-win in my opinion. Yeah, I absolutely hear you on that. Guys, let me get to the super chats. By the way, apologies, I missed one earlier. Big up to Stephen Caicedo, right back, Lavia and Enzo in the middle equals win. Unfortunately, Lavia is not going to be ready to start, but thanks for the donation and big yourself up, bro. Brian, big up as always, brother. Please just win. Yeah, I absolutely hear you on that one as well. Absolutely hear you on that one. This is a real difficult game. I don't think the weather's going to be particularly good tomorrow either, but I don't want to sound like Ty from AFTV. Robbie, it was raining. Do you see it was raining? Yeah, I'm not on that bullshit. So yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, isn't it? It's gonna be a tough game, intimidating atmosphere. We just gotta somehow get the job done. We just gotta somehow get the job done. But yeah, I guess the big news from today is, guys, is that Fofana could be out for the rest of the season. Badiashiel's out till at least February, and Chelsea need to go and sign a centre-back. That is where we are at right now, people. That is where we're at right now. Yeah, Palace are doing okay. I mean, like, they're not doing amazingly. They're 5 points above the drop zone. But if you actually look at their recent form, I mean, how many games have Palace lost this season? They're 15th right now. Palace have lost 7 games this season. They've had 8 draws and 4 wins. They've only lost once in their last 6 games. They've had 3 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat in their last 6. So they are in a slightly better form, but obviously they're a team that we should be beating. If you want to get back into the Champions League, then these are the sort of teams you have to be beating. And that's the reality. Fofana's not got ACL. It's a hamstring problem. He's not got ACL. ACL was last season. Fofana has got a hamstring problem, which obviously, yeah, is not ideal. Is not ideal, I must say. Not ideal whatsoever. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens on that one. They just low block us and kill us on the break like Ipswich. Maybe. I think I did a Palace opposition preview yesterday, which if you've not checked out, make sure you do. Talking about, he thinks Palace will probably set up in a mid block, which maybe might suit us a little bit better. I don't know. But yeah, guys, I'm going to round this one out now. Big yourselves up. Big up to everyone that's tuned in this lunchtime. Greatly appreciate all the support. Big thanks to Dan. Guys, make sure you subscribe to Dan's channel if you haven't done so already. It is tagged in the title. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in as always. Let's get this to 100 likes on the way out. Smash that like button. We're 10 likes away from 100. Let's get those on the way out. Please subscribe if you're new round here as well. Guys, if you've not checked out the opposition preview, make sure you do. It is live on the channel now. And I've got another video dropping in half an hour. So make sure you check that one out as well. But yes, smash that like button. Thanks for all the support as always. Not the best news today. We go again tomorrow. Match vlog coming from Selhurst Park after the game. And yeah, we'll be live match reaction tomorrow night. So stay tuned for all that content. If there's any major breaking news, I'll be back later on, but I don't think there will be. So yeah, love as always, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy watching the game wherever you are. If you're going, maybe see you there, maybe not. But yeah, love as always, people. Let's get this to 100 likes. Smash the like button. Subscribe. All that good stuff. Love. And I am out of here.